I'm highly honored and privileged to be in your midst this morning. And from the introduction that was given earlier on, something was omitted. And it is the fact that I'm also a poultry farmer. And with that, even at that, I've learned a lot from our daddy this morning. And I'm privileged to meet you. I will take your contact thereafter so that I can, because I actually study animal breeding and genetics, and I've seen a lot of friends trying to go into breeding, causing harms for people like you who are interested in going into poultry business. Because it says something that your source is very, very important when you are going into poultry business. If you get your bird from the wrong source, that can make doom for you. You can just, once you struck and you are not making anything out of your birds, a lot of your birds. I have a friend now, he's struggling. They bought 600 birds because they got it from one person, and somebody that is just coming up. Over 300 birds died. You understand? Before they start laying. And when they started laying as well, you just see that the birds are not producing as they ought to. He's struggling to sell them now just in 6 months into laying. When it should have taken it to up to 12 months, 15 months before he can sell it as old layers. I want to also say this, that I want to appreciate the General Overseer of the church for giving me this privilege to be here this morning. I will be presenting on vegetables, and I'm just going to speak on 2 of them then before talking about snairy. I have a very limited time, and I'm going to rush over some things. One of the beauty of what we are doing today is that for me, it is not that I went into the internet to gather, because as you are there, you can just ask any question about some of these things that we are going to be sharing with you here, and you will get information. But I'm going to share with you from my own practical experience. And I tell you, some of the things that I'm going to share with you on watermelon, you can never get it in any handbook that is given to you. If not even on the internet. I'm telling you the truth, because it was a practical thing. I did it by myself, and I was observing everything that was going on. So that's why I can stand here to tell you that if you follow everything that I'm going to tell you on watermelon, you are sure of 100% results at the end of the day. So let me quickly start by going into watermelon production. Why watermelon production? Now the thing started in our country, it started coming in gradually, and now it is everywhere. And it is for no other reason than this basic reason that I listed here. It can be planted 3 times in a year. You can plant it any time in the year. Then also, it has a very short life cycle. Now, in 2009, I also attended a seminar. I was thinking that I was going to attend a seminar on ICT. Only for me, I'm an agric graduate. Only for me to be in that auditorium and somebody who is not an agric graduate teaching me on how to raise watermelon. That posed a challenge to me, that this guy didn't study agric and is teaching me how to raise watermelon. If I'm not going to do anything with what I've gained here, I must go and do watermelon production. And that's how I went into it. You can grow it, it can reach its maturity in 90 to 100 days. And I tell you, it's a very fantastic thing when you begin to see the thing turn out into fruit, the flower change into fruit. It is also medicinal. It can be used in the treatment of prostate cancer. If anybody has prostate cancer, tell such a fellow to feed on watermelon regularly. That thing will disappear. It can also, it helps men in the proper functioning of their libido, so that you can be, as married women, you can, a man, you can be active with your spouse. Of course, as you and I know, there is an increased demand of watermelon. How many of us have tasted watermelon before? Almost everybody. That means you have a market ready for you if you go into this thing. And also, it is one of the business of agriculture that I see. In fact, mostly all vegetable, if you go into any production of any vegetable, you are certain of having 100% return. But watermelon is different. It can give you 300, it can give you 500% return. And I'm going to explain all that to us. Now, the first thing, having said that, the first thing you must understand, I want to, because of my time, I will try to combine the two, the tomato and watermelon, because both are vegetables. So, area that they are different, I will let us know. For tomato and then watermelon, you need to do certain things that we call pre-planting operation. When I went into the production of watermelon, I told you my background. The man poured me up and I went into work. I cleared the ground. After clearing the ground, I just went in there to just plant my seed. After planting my seed, I started seeing that they are growing. There are things that I needed to do. Things that, some of these things I told you, you cannot see it. Nobody will tell you in any book. No, I began to see that, what's happening here? What is this? How do I combat it? The very first challenge that I had was that watermelon or the other one, there is other fruits. This green fruit now, cucumber, yes, cucumber. The two, I wanted to do the two, but because of the stress that watermelon production demand, I had to stop. I didn't go into cucumber production. Now, when I planted, I ensured that I have my normal spacing and everything. But at the time, I think I'm going ahead of myself. Okay, let me go on. Let me just flow that way. Now, when I planted, the thing started growing. They need a lot of space. A lot of place from one plant to the another, because they are climbers. They can extend. And on one hand, you can see as much as 5 fruits. You have to plant 2 seeds per hole. And let's imagine that one of each come up. That one can give you like 5, 6, 7, up to 10 different strands that they will extend. And in all of those strands, they will come up with fruits. I'm not talking about, just one can give you up to 5 fruits. So I was saying that when they started growing, I'm very sure that I'm actually ahead of myself. But let me just flow that way. When they started growing, I look at weeds are also growing up with them. And I knew that they don't like competition. And there's need for me to clear those ground. I just went and employed some guys that will help me. And those guys came, at the time they came in to help me with the plant have started fruiting. So they were just weeding at the end of the day just to collect their money and go. There are already a lot of fruits that I'm excited about. But as they were weeding, they will move those fruits from the spot that they were growing. They will move it because they want to cut. And that is something you don't do with watermelon. I didn't know. So the moment you move, they stop. Some of them will stop growing at that point. Watermelon is such that if you see it as small as this today, if there is a lot of sun throughout that day, by the time you are coming the next day, you can see it big as this. And the next day, because they need a lot of sun. The next day like this, you just see something bigger. It takes, for you to see what you buy outside there, it takes less than 20 days to grow as big as that. Let me go back. I was actually talking about pre-planting operation. Now, the reason why I explain all of that to us is that the moment you have cleared your ground, this is very important. You must apply, the moment you clear the ground, and the day you are planting that seed, you must apply herbicide. You must apply herbicide to every portion of the land. And what is this herbicide going to do? Because when you finish clearing the ground, maybe you want to burn the bush, you burn it. You understand? Maybe it's going to take you 1 or 2 days before you go into planting. By that time, some grasses will have been coming up there. So that is what the application of the herbicide will take care of. It will kill them. And there are 2 types of herbicide. We call them one systemic herbicide, and there is the other one contact. The systemic herbicide, the moment it touches any grass, it will kill it to the roots. It means that same grass cannot germinate again. But if you use contact will only eliminate what you see on the surface, but the seed is still in the ground, and it will come up in no longer a time from there. So systemic is what you use so that you can kill. And the systemic, when you use it, for instance, you can use Phosphop. Phosphop will take like 1 month before any other grass begin to grow. And when you walk around your farm, just like our father was saying that you must enter your pen, in the same way you must walk around your farm. When you begin to see some grasses, some weeds coming up, those ones you can easily use your hand to remove, because they will not have been many at that time. So you need to apply herbicide. Systemic, note that. Systemic herbicide. Then having done that, you just come to observe. Watermelon does not need too much water. Too much water. The period at which it needs water is between the period that you plant it and it germinates. And if you so like, you can apply fertilizer. And in this case, you don't need to go and buy all these NPK fertilizer that you will now begin to put under each holes. No. Or each plant. You understand? What you need to do is that there is a liquid herbicide that you can use. One of it is called Boost Extra. Boost Extra. If you just go to any vet shop, ask for it, they can get it for you. The other one is DI Grow. DI Grow also is one other fertilizer that you can apply to your watermelon. And the same way you apply, you use knapsack sprayer to do that. You apply it inside the sprayer, then you go around by spreading it. You just mix it. What I do, because the moment they start growing, watermelon attracts a lot of pests. It attracts a lot of pests to it. And the moment the leaves, the foliage of the plant is damaged, you are not going to get any result. So this is one of the things that I never read anywhere. I just saw that these are insects. These insects are eating this guy. So I had to go on, and I now discovered that this thing, I have to do it. In fact, sometimes I felt, okay, maybe every week. Let me do it every week, once in a week, around 10 days. And I discovered that if I had to wait till another 10 days, I may not come back meeting anything. So it becomes something that I do like every 5 days, 7 days, 7 days. The moment I see anything like this, I just put my knapsack sprayer together, put water there, put the fertilizer there, put insecticide there. I use cypermethrin more then, and it is very, very effective. I will just apply and it will destroy all those plants. You understand? But of course, those are some of the area that I was not expecting. Me, I just feel that leaving the class, going into the field and just do what you needed to do and start getting results. The guy that was working with me was inconsistent. So it comes to the point that I had to take those things sometimes by myself. Even the people that I gave money to help me with, they will collect money from me. Oh, I have 10 minutes now. Wow. Okay, I think I've spoken about the pre-planting operation, the bush clearing, application of herbicide, the planting of the seed. Then there is also what we call, and I've also talked on that, post-planting operation. That is when you begin to apply insecticide, fertilizer almost every other week. Then once your fruits, once it started fruiting, please ensure that there is no movement of those fruits from the spots that they were. If you move, it may stop the growth. In fact, one of the things that happened, I have a problem because I can tell you this. I'm talking to you from my failure. Because that first production actually failed. And I lost a lot of hundreds of thousands of naira in that business. In the same way that the business can actually turn your life around. Exactly in the same manner. You can go into planting, like I planted like 10 plots of land. The little that I was able to go, different 5 plots here, 5 plots in another place. But the demand, when the demand was so much, I could not manage the second plot very well. So I didn't get anything from there. But this other one that I got something from is not so much. But it accrues to me as a knowledge that I'm sharing with you today. So, post-planting operation, then after that post-planting operation, maybe I will just pause. If there is any question in that regard, maybe I can then address this. But for tomato, I think I've told us some of the techniques. Let me just talk about the technicalities that is tomato production actually involve. When your tomatoes, you need to know that you need to raise your tomato in the nursery. You make a bed, then you spread the seed. Something is very important. If you are going into commercial production of tomato, please, you need to be very, very careful. And that's why for me, I will encourage you, just like our father also did, that you start very small. Take a plot. What I'm going to share with you now is something that every one of us can actually do in our various houses, because I have also practiced that within my own house. One of the things that, you live in Lagos here and you don't have access to a lot of soil, like this compound, the whole of this compound is flawed. You understand? But I was like, is it not possible for me to raise this thing in buckets? And I went into that. You understand? But the difference that I noticed was that I transplanted some of them on the soil. I put some in the buckets, paint buckets. If you are using any bucket, the mouth of that bucket must be big and must be filled with sound, loamy soil halfway. You understand? But what I discovered was that the production that I got from the land is more than the one I got from the plastic buckets. You understand? But that notwithstanding, you can still do that in your house. A lot of us, every one of us, there's not one here that will say that is not using tomato every day. And you can produce the little one that you can use to feed your family, just at the corner behind your house, beside your house there, in those buckets. You can do it. Just take them into a nursery. You notice what? We are a blessed people as Nigerians. If you throw tomatoes on the floor out there, just little sound, on a little sound, it will begin to germinate. And that is what you just need to transplant and just take it. After 2 weeks, you need to transplant. After 2 weeks of planting, you take it from there into those buckets. And you begin to water. You know, because you are using a bucket now, there is no way, if you water it, there's no way that water can flow out of the bucket. You are the one that is going to pour the water away. You only need to keep the place moist, not seriously saturated with water. If it's seriously saturated with water, it will call for disease. The production will not be okay. You understand? So you can also get, when you do that, once your plant germinates and they reach flowering stage, you need to stake either in buckets or on the field. You need to stake them by putting some wood. Maybe, how do I put it? Let's say this is a wood now. We will have something like that also here. There is a wood that is connecting them just by the side of the plant, so that when the wind is blowing, because it's not a strong plant, so to speak, that will be like a protector. If you don't do that, when the wind blows and it is fruiting time, it will destroy a lot of your fruits on the farm. I don't know if I still have a few minutes. Let me pause there. Let me pause there and just talk on snaring a bit. Snaring. Now there are two basic type of snails that we found around here. The first one is called Acacatina marginata. That's the name. It's a botanical name, but that's the general name. But I will describe it for you so that you can, when you go to the market the next time, you can easily identify them. That's Acacatina marginata is very big. It's usually one of the biggest. You understand? And it has, towards the end of that shell, it is bulbous in shape with a very wide apex. That end is not out. It's not something that shoots out like that. It's very short. But for the second one, which is Acacatina, that one, the apex is narrow, comes out like this. That's how you can identify the two. And let me quickly say to you that if you are raising snail, you don't raise the two together. You raise them separately. And let me quickly also say that snails are hermaphrodites. Both types can produce eggs. The only difference between the two is that Acacatina, the one that have extended narrow apex, can produce as much as 500 eggs in a year, whereas the other one cannot produce more than 11 in a year. That is why that one is usually very big, why this other one is not as big as that one. And then let me just rush over some of the things. Let me talk about the housing for it. I'm also talking in relation to what every one of us can actually practice in our different homes. If you cannot afford to make a wooden house for them, you can, if you don't have a car, you can go to those people that have cars that have used tires. Just take one or two of it, put it behind or beside your house, fill a part of it with sand, loamy soil, fill it up to like 10-15 centimeters, because snails also enter into the sand to enjoy themselves there. So you just fill it up, then use nets, the kind of net that we use to cover our windows. You can use it to just cover it on the top like that there. And all that you need to feed them are the waste, the things you regarded as waste from your kitchen, like your banana and plantain peel. Those things, just show it to them, they will eat it. One of the things, in the course of practicing this thing, one of the things that I discovered was that these things like taking echo Echo, they love it so much. They will consume everything. You understand? So, of course, because we are trying to actually cut off cost, that's why you use those things. You can use the kind of feed that we use in poultry to feed them, but that will increase your cost. So we don't encourage that. We are encouraged that you use your kitchen waste, eggshell, when you break the egg and then you open it, you throw the shell away. You can gather it together, grind it for them, and just spread it on pawpaw leaf or banana leaf inside the house. Just spread it there, they will take it. It serves as a source of calcium. And let me also tell us that snail is very, very rich in protein, in iron, calcium, phosphorus, essential amino acid and vitamins. And they have very low level of fat and cholesterol, which is very good for every one of us. So the things I've mentioned, some of the things that we can use to actually feed them. I've not mentioned all. Maybe I should just run through. Green pawpaw leaf, pawpaw fruits, the green pawpaw fruits, unripe fruit of pawpaw. You can help them slice it into smaller units and just put it in there. They drink water too. They drink water. You get a flat plastic plate. Just put the water there in their house there. They will go there to take the water. The time is very short, but let me try and round up. Another thing that you can feed them with is ripe pawpaw fruits, pawpaw leaves, ripe oil palm fruits, ripe plantain. You know, some plantains that you don't need in the house. Maybe you said, this one, otibaje. You can just throw it into the house. They will feed on it. I don't know how many of us that knows this one. Bure is one of their very good food as well. Give it to them. They will eat. And these are things that we regarded as waste. Wow. I don't know. I don't want to. Oh, I needed to talk on the reproduction aspect of snailry. When they lay the eggs, you don't leave them inside you have to create another house for them where you will take the eggs, you remove the eggs from where they lay it, you take it into that new house, bury it in between the sand that you have filled up there, and continuously water it for like between 29 and 32 days. They will hatch and they will be growing. I think I should stop there.
Please, let's clap for him. He actually spent exactly 30 minutes. We are very grateful to you, Brother Michael. And you'll agree with me that we will need a handout on this matter.